The night the river swallowed the town, Lena Vale stood on the roof of her grandmother's bakery with a broken phone in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. Below her, the streets had disappeared beneath black, rushing water. Cars drifted past like toys. Wooden doors slammed open and shut in the current. Somewhere in the darkness, a child was crying. Lena could hear people shouting from rooftops all around her. "Help us! Over here! Is anyone coming?" She looked toward the highway. The emergency lights of the evacuation trucks flickered in the distance and then vanished behind a wall of rain. For one terrible moment, Lena thought about leaving. She had already lost almost everything. Her bakery was ruined, her savings were gone. Her younger brother blamed her for their mother's death. The man she loved had walked away when life became inconvenient. And now, the river had come to finish what grief had started. Lena tightened her grip on the knife. Then she heard the child cry again. The sound was coming from the old community center, across the flooded street. Its roof was lower than hers, and the water was rising fast. Lena took one step toward the edge of the bakery roof.
She was afraid. Of course she was afraid. But fear had ruled her life for long enough.
That night, Lena did not wait for someone stronger to come and save her. She became the person everyone else was waiting for. But to understand how she reached that roof, we have to go back 6 months, to the day Lena believed her life had already ended. 6 months earlier, the air inside Rosa's oven smelled of cinnamon, yeast, and warm butter. It had smelled that way for 43 years. The bakery was small, with blue-painted shutters and a brass bell above the front door.
Every morning, before the sun rose, Lena's grandmother, Rosa, would unlock the door and turn on the lights. Rosa believed that a bakery was more than a place that sold bread. It was a place where people came to celebrate, to mourn, to gossip, and sometimes
Simply to sit somewhere warm. Lena had grown up behind that counter. She learned to measure flour before she learned long division. She learned how to repair an oven before she learned how to drive. And whenever life became difficult, Rosa repeated the same words. A woman does not become strong because life is kind to her. She becomes strong because she learns what to do when life is not. Lena used to smile whenever Rosa said them. Lena's mother had been strong. Lena believed she was simply lucky enough to stand near them. Then Rosa died. After the funeral, Lena kept the bakery open by moving through each day like a ghost. She opened before sunrise. She baked until her wrists ached. She smiled at customers. She closed after dark. When she got home, she sat on the floor beside her bed because she could not find the energy to climb into it. The bakery no longer felt warm. Every mixing bowl reminded her of Rosa's hands. The old rolling pin seemed to hold the shape of her grandmother's fingers. Even the cinnamon rolls tasted wrong without Rosa standing nearby, pretending not to watch Lena measure the sugar. Lena was 24 years old, but she felt ancient, a ghost haunting a building that was slowly dying alongside her. One evening, Lena sat in the office, surrounded by unpaid bills. Her younger brother, Jonah, stood across from her with his arms folded. Jonah was 22, angry at the world, and still grieving in a way that made every conversation feel like a fight.
You're letting the place fall apart, Lena.
Trying isn't enough. Grandma trusted you with this. Do you think I don't know that?
I think you like pretending you're the only one who lost her.
The words struck harder than Jonah intended. Or perhaps he intended them to hurt. Jonah shoved the office chair aside.
Sell the bakery! At least then we'll get something from it.
I'm not selling it.
Then stop acting like you're doing us a favor by staying. Jonah left before Lena could answer. Lena looked at the old wooden sign above the desk. Rosa had painted it herself. The letters were uneven but cheerful.
For the first time, Lena wondered if Jonah was right. Was she protecting Rosa's memory or hiding inside it? That same week, Lena's longtime boyfriend, Daniel, sat across from her at the bakery's last clean table. He placed his apartment key on the counter.
I can't keep doing this, Daniel said. Doing what? Lena asked. Being with someone who is never really here. I work 12 hours a day. You work 12 hours a day because you refuse to make a decision. Sell the bakery. Take the insurance money. Move to the city with me. The insurance money won't cover the debts. Then let the bank take it. Lena looked toward the kitchen, where Rosa's old mixer sat beneath a white cloth. It's more than a building. Daniel took a slow breath. That's the problem, Lena. Everything is more than what it is. The bakery is a bakery. Your brother is an adult. Your grandmother is gone. You keep turning the past into a reason not to live. Lena wanted to argue. She wanted to tell Daniel that he did not understand what it felt like to lose the person who had raised her. But the truth was more painful. Some part of Lena knew Daniel was right. She had been preserving the bakery, preserving Rosa's memory, preserving an old version of herself. She had forgotten how to build a life that belonged to her. Daniel picked up his coat. I love you, but I can't rescue you from a life you refuse to live. Then he walked out. The bell above the door rang once. The sound echoed through the empty bakery. A week later, the bank sent a letter. Rosa Sovin would be foreclosed in 90 days, unless Lena paid its debts in full. The amount was more money than Lena had ever seen. She read the letter once, then twice, then a third time, hoping the words would change. They did not. Lena folded the letter, placed it beneath the cash register, and opened the shop for the morning. That day, she burned the first batch of bread. The next day, she dropped a tray of pastries. On the third day, she fainted in the storage room. When she opened her eyes, Jonah was standing over her. You need help, he said. I'm fine. No, you're not. Go home. You always do that. Do what? Push people away, and then act surprised when they leave. Lena expected anger to rise inside her. Instead, something collapsed. She lowered her eyes. I don't know how to do this. It was the first time she had admitted it aloud. Jonah looked away. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then, Jonah sat on the floor beside her. Neither do I. It was not forgiveness. It was not an apology. But it was a beginning. The following morning, Lena did something she had never done before. She asked for help. She placed a handwritten sign in the bakery window. Rosa's oven is in danger of closing. If this bakery has ever meant something to you, come in Saturday afternoon. We need a plan. Lena expected 10 people to show up. 30 came.
Then 50. By 2 o'clock, every chair was filled. People stood along the walls, holding paper cups of coffee. There was Mr. Ellis, who had bought a loaf of bread from Rosa every Sunday for 20 years. There were 2 teachers from the elementary school.
There was Mrs. Patel from the flower shop. There were teenagers who had never met Rosa, but had heard stories about the free after-school snacks she used to give away. Lena stood behind the counter, with a stack of bills in front of her. I'm not asking you to give me money. I'm asking you to tell me if this place is worth saving, and if it is, how do we save it? For a moment, no one answered. Then a young boy near the door raised his hand. Could you sell dinner? He asked. Dinner, Lena said. My mom works nights. She buys bread here, but she says you should sell soup too. A murmur moved through the room. My customers always ask where they can get breakfast before work, Mrs. Patel said. You could deliver. The school needs someone to provide lunches for the staff, one of the teachers added. Your grandmother survived hard times by changing with the times, Mr. Ellis said. She sold wedding cakes, birthday cakes, sandwiches. Lena stared at the bills. The bakery was not failing because people did not care. It was failing because she was running it as a memorial instead of a home. She looked up. What if we turn it into a community kitchen? The idea grew quickly. They would sell bread, soup, and affordable meals. They would deliver breakfast to local offices. They would offer cooking classes in the afternoons. And in the evenings, the bakery would provide free meals to families who needed them. Jonah, who had been standing at the back of the room, stepped forward. I can build the delivery shelves, he said. You hate baking, Lena replied. I don't hate building. It was not much, but Lena smiled. For the first time since Rosa died, she felt something besides sadness. She felt possibility. The next 89 days became the hardest period of Lena's life. She woke at 4 every morning. She learned bookkeeping from online videos. She negotiated with suppliers. She convinced the bank to give her a temporary extension. She burned more bread. She ruined 2 soup recipes. She accidentally sent 47 chicken sandwiches to an office that had ordered vegetarian meals. Some days, she cried in the walk-in refrigerator because it was the only place no one could hear her. But every time she wanted to quit, someone came through the bakery door. A mother who needed a warm meal. An old man who wanted a place to sit. A student who had learned how to knead dough. The bakery began to change. So did Lena. She stopped trying to do everything alone. She trained volunteers. She trusted Jonah with the finances, even though numbers made him impatient. She learned that asking for help did not make her weak. It gave other people the chance to be useful. On the last day before foreclosure, Lena carried the final payment into the bank. The money was not enough to pay everything, but the bakery's new contracts and community support had convinced the bank to restructure the loan. The manager slid the agreement across the desk. "You built something impressive," he said. When she stepped outside, Jonah was waiting beside the truck. "Did we save it?" he asked. "No," Lena replied. Jonah frowned. "What do you mean?" "They changed it." That afternoon, they painted a new sign. It still said, "Rosa's Oven," but beneath the name were smaller words. Bread, meals, and second chances. For the first time, Lena did not feel like she was living in Rosa's shadow. Yeah, she felt like she was carrying Rosa's light forward. For 3 months, life was good. Then the sky turned the color of a bruise. Weather reports warned of heavy rain, but the town had survived storms before. People stocked up on bottled water and batteries. Businesses taped their windows. The mayor assured everyone that the river barriers would hold. But the river, like grief, has a way of returning when you think you have finally learned how to swim. On the evening the rain began, Lena was teaching a group of children how to make bread rolls. Thunder shook the windows. One little girl named Amara kept looking outside. "My dad is still at work," she said. "He'll be home soon," Lena told her. But by 9 o'clock, the rain had become a solid curtain. The electricity flickered. Emergency sirens began to sound. Then a message appeared on Lena's phone. "Evacuate low-lying areas immediately. The river has breached the northern barrier." Main Street was in the low-lying area. Lena ran to the window. Water was spreading across the road. "Everyone upstairs, now!" The bakery had no second floor, only a storage loft above the kitchen. It was not large enough for everyone, but it was higher than the street. Jonah grabbed a ladder. The children climbed first. Then the elderly customers. Then the volunteers. Lena carried sacks of flour to block the back door and moved the medicine cabinet to the highest shelf. The water came faster than anyone expected. It pushed through the front door. It knocked over tables. It swept trays across the floor. The smell of cinnamon was replaced by mud and gasoline. Lena climbed onto the loft last. Amara was crying.
"Where's my dad?" "We're going to find him," Lena said. Jonah looked through the broken front window. "The rescue crews are heading toward the west side," he said. "They can't reach Main Street yet."
"Then we find another way," Lena replied. "You can't go out there. There are people trapped. You are not a rescue worker. I'm the person who is here." That was when they heard the child crying from the community center. The building stood across the street, surrounded by water. A small hand was pressed against one of the upper windows. Lena searched the bakery for anything that could float. She found empty flour barrels, wooden boards, rope, and a damaged delivery door. Jonah stared at the makeshift raft. "That won't hold you," he said. "She doesn't have to hold me for long." "You're going to die." Lena looked at her brother. He was terrified, not for himself, but for her. She reached for his hand. Spent years thinking strength meant never being afraid. I was wrong. Strength is being afraid and still knowing what must be done. Then, I'm coming with you, Jonah said. No, someone has to stay here with the children. I can do both.
You can't be everywhere. Neither could Lena. That was the hardest truth. She had spent her whole life believing that if she worked hard enough, she could prevent every loss.
But there were limits to what one person could carry.
So Lena gave Jonah instructions. He would keep the children calm. He would use the bakery's emergency radio to contact the rescue crews. And he would not leave the loft under any circumstances. Then Lena tied a rope around her waist, climbed onto the raft, and pushed into the flood.
The current spun Lena sideways immediately. Rain struck her face so hard she could barely keep her eyes open. The bakery disappeared behind a curtain of darkness. Pieces of wood and furniture slammed into the raft. Halfway across the street, the rope caught on a street sign. The raft stopped. Lena pulled herself forward, but the current dragged her backward. She looked toward the community center. A small hand was pressed against the glass. The child inside screamed. Gina wrapped the rope around her wrist and pulled until the skin tore. She freed it from the sign, then kicked toward the building. When she reached the wall, she found the window too high to open. She climbed onto a floating metal bench, smashed the glass with the handle of her knife, and pulled herself inside. There were 7 children and 2 adults huddled on a staircase. The lower level was completely flooded.
You rescue!
A boy asked. Not exactly, Lena replied, breathing hard. Then who are you? I'm Lena. I own the bakery across the street. A little girl began to cry. My brother is trapped upstairs. Lena turned toward the stairwell. The building shook as the current struck its walls. Which room? Lena asked. The second floor, the blue door. One of the adults grabbed Lena's arm.
It's too dangerous. The stairs are breaking. Lena looked upward. Every instinct told her to stop. She was exhausted, bleeding, and alone. She had no equipment, no training, and no guarantee that anyone was coming. But courage did not arrive as a feeling.
Sometimes, it arrived as a decision made while fear was screaming. Lena climbed. The stairs groaned beneath her feet. Water poured through the ceiling. She reached the second floor and found the blue door wedged shut. Move away. She rammed her shoulder against the door. Nothing. She tried again. Pain shot down her arm. On the third attempt, the door opened just enough for her to squeeze through. A boy of about 8 was standing on a desk, clutching a backpack above his head. Water had reached his knees. My name is Eli, he said. I'm Lena. We're going to get out. My dad said he was coming back. I know. People always say that. Lena had no answer, so she reached for him. Eli climbed onto her back. Lena tied the backpack to her chest and began walking through the water. The floor beneath them shifted. She froze. A deep crack opened near the wall. The current pulled at her legs. Lena tightened her grip on Eli and stepped backward. The desk behind her collapsed into the water. She had seconds. Then Eli pointed toward the ceiling. There, a maintenance hatch stood open above the hallway. Lena lifted Eli onto a cabinet and pushed him through the hatch. Then she pulled herself up after him. They crawled through the narrow passage while the building groaned beneath them. At the end of the passage was a roof access door. It was locked. Lena laughed once, breathlessly. Of course it was locked. She pulled the knife from her belt and attacked the latch. Her hands shook. The metal refused to move. Eli began to panic. Keep talking to me, Lena said. About what? Anything. My favorite color is orange. Good. I have a dog named Rocket. Good. He ate my homework once. That is a very impressive dog. Eli laughed despite himself. Lena kept working at the lock. Finally, it snapped. They burst onto the roof, just as the maintenance passage filled with water. The other children were brought up through the same hatch. Lena tied them together with rope and attached the line to a chimney. Across the street, Jonah saw them and began waving a flashlight. The rescue crews had finally reached Main Street in inflatable boats. One by one, they crossed the flooded street and brought the children to safety. Eli was the last to leave. Before climbing into the boat, he hugged Lena tightly. "You stayed." "Yes," Lena replied. "Why?" "Because you needed someone to." By morning, the flood had begun to recede. The bakery was destroyed. The ovens were ruined. The walls were cracked. Every piece of furniture Rosa had chosen was gone. Mud covered the floor where generations of customers had eaten bread and shared stories. Lena stood in the doorway staring at the wreckage. Jonah came to stand beside her. "We can rebuild," he said. "With what?" Lena asked. "With people." He was right. The town had lost homes, roads, and businesses. But it had not lost its people. Volunteers arrived with shovels. Teachers brought cleaning supplies. Mrs. Patel brought coffee. Mr. Ellis, who could barely walk, sat on an overturned bucket and directed traffic like a general. A week later, the story of Lena's rescue appeared online. People sent donations. A national bakery chain offered equipment. A woman in another state mailed Lena a handwritten letter. It said, "My daughter watched your story and decided she wants to be brave too." Lena did not feel like a hero. She felt tired. She felt grateful. She felt sad for everything that could not be replaced. Beneath the sadness was something new. Not hardness, not a refusal to feel. Steadiness. She had learned that being strong did not mean surviving without scars. It meant refusing to let the scars decide what happened next.
3 months after the flood, Rosa's oven reopened in a temporary building near the highway. The bakery was smaller than before, but the line outside stretched around the block. On opening morning, Lena stood behind the counter with flour on her cheek.
Jonah argued with the delivery driver. Mrs. Patel arranged flowers by the window. Children from the community center painted a mural on the wall. Eli had drawn a bright orange rocket flying over a river. At the bottom, he had written 4 words: "The people who stayed." Lena looked at the words for a long time. Then she noticed a familiar figure at the end of the line. Daniel. He waited until the customers had been served before approaching the counter. "You rebuilt," he said. "We did," Lena replied. "I heard what happened." "So did everyone. I'm sorry I left when things got difficult." "You left before the flood." "I know." Lena placed a loaf of bread into a paper bag and handed it to him. "I used to think losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Now I think it was the first time I had to learn that I could stand without you." Daniel lowered his eyes. "Are you happy?" he asked. Lena looked around the room. At Jonah, at the children, at the steaming pots of soup, at Rosa's old recipe book, rescued from the flood and drying beneath a lamp. "Yes, not every day, but enough." Daniel left with the bread. Lena watched him go. Then the bell above the door rang, and another customer entered. Another person needed breakfast. Another day was beginning. Years later, people in the town still told the story of the flood. They told it at schools and community meetings. They told visitors about the woman who crossed a raging street on a raft made from flour barrels. They told them how she rescued 8 children, rebuilt a bakery, and turned the ruins into a place where no one had to face hardship alone. But Lena always corrected them. "I didn't do it alone," and that was the truth. She had needed Jonah. She had needed strangers. She had needed a frightened boy named Eli to remind her that staying was sometimes the bravest thing a person could do. Still, there was one part of the story no one else could tell. Only Lena knew what it felt like to stand on that roof, with the water rising and fear wrapping around her heart. Only Lena knew how close she had come to giving up before the storm ever arrived. She had believed strength meant having no weakness. She had believed independence meant needing no one. She had believed that if life took enough from her, there would eventually be nothing left. But life had not emptied her. It had revealed her. Every challenge had stripped away something she had mistaken for safety. The need to be perfect, the fear of disappointing people, the habit of waiting for permission, and the belief that asking for help was shameful. What remained was not the woman she had been before. What remained was stronger. Not because she no longer cried. She still cried. Not because she was never afraid. She was afraid many times. Not because she had all the answers. She often did not. She was stronger because she had learned to move forward without answers, to rebuild while grieving, to love people without losing herself, to accept help without surrendering her power, and to face a storm without becoming the storm. One evening, long after the flood, Lena stood outside the bakery as the sun went down over the river. The water looked peaceful now, golden beneath the fading light. A little girl came running through the door. "Lena, we need you." "What happened?" Lena asked. "The soup is burning," Lena laughed and hurried inside. The bakery glowed behind her, warm and bright against the darkening street. Above the door, the sign still carried Rosa's name. But now Lena understood what her grandmother had meant all those years ago. A woman does not become strong because life is kind to her.
She becomes strong because, when life is not kind, she learns that she is allowed to rise. She is allowed to begin again. She is allowed to ask for help. And when the moment comes, she is allowed to be the one who stays.
There was the story of Lena Vale, the woman who stayed.